This is Tim Seaton saying hello from inside the abandoned Phazotron factory, which is going to be destroyed in just a few days from now. So we're taking the last tour around just to see what's left of this bit of history.
The factory is down Elektriczny Periodo, which has some beautiful buildings. But in order to get to the historical architectural tour, you first have to go through this arch into the rather unassuming courtyard beyond. We gathered at this yellow door in a 5-story, originally 3-story, red brick building. Dating back to 1914, this used to contain communal flats, which were built for war widows using funds raised by selling national flags. The research institute itself was in the building next door. Having once been the impressive Prusakov public baths, the 1930s makeover was definitely not an improvement. Another arch, this one less fancy, leads to the inner courtyard and scenes of decay, with the main building already being ripped apart. Having been warned sternly not to leave the ground floor for safety reasons, we headed in through the ramshackle door, and what a sight greeted us once our eyes adjusted to the gloom. The rooms are filled with the junk and detritus of human abandonment. The guide did her best to recreate the aura of this place, with details about, for example, the metal poles holding the ceiling up, riveted and not welded, by the way. But in all honesty, this is an abandoned building with almost nothing left to evoke its former role as a top-secret research institute. I am no master electrician, but this looks fairly ordinary to me, and other fittings, stripped of all parts, could be a fuse box in most stairwells in this country. We looked hard for things of interest, clues to the past, scraps of history, or the echoes of forgotten voices. Maybe this, lying on a shelf, was a secret document, a tantalizing glimpse of cutting-edge research from yesteryear. And maybe this was the scientist's lunch. Probably neither, I suspect. There were, though, curios for those of a febrile imagination. Would a secret research institute really have such delicate lace curtains on the ground floor? On the walls behind this chair, there are still 2 calendars from 2015, the year when the company moved out. And, in another room, this chair bleakly positioned to look out of a boarded-up window. But at the end of the day, old bathroom tiles are just old bathroom tiles. Back outside, we took a walk round to the other side of the building, where the ongoing destruction was much more evident, as was the local Banksy. There is something strangely fascinating about seeing a building being ripped apart, not least as it is all in slow motion. Watching this historic building being destroyed, I was reminded of 2 sayings. The first, supposedly Chinese, "You can't make an omelette without breaking eggs." And the second, ascribed to any number of people, "Those who forget history are condemned to repeat it." Oh yes, and this from Ozymandias, "Round the decay of that colossal wreck." This husk is already dry and dead. Only a few traces remain of its human past, such as this picture in an upper floor space, almost lost in the scale of the building as a whole. And, thus, it fails to inspire. Fortunately, we were saved at the end, into the last building, which is still used, and so heated, and up the stairs to the 3rd floor, then along a corridor to the tower. This is where the antennae that Phazotron used to make were tested. And what an impressive place it is. The radio frequency anechoic chamber is 30 meters high. The walls are covered with radiation absorbent material, including these baffles that form photogenic patterns. Here, unlike elsewhere, you can see the science, see the history, touch it, and listen to the deadened sound in this test chamber. The lack of echo is real and visceral and unsettling. And this is the mounting table for the antennae. And the guide at last gave us the human element. how one of the chief constructors, Adolf Tolkachev, handed secret designs over to the Americans for 6 years. But his cover was eventually blown by a CIA mole. He was caught red-handed, then tried and executed for treason. The company lives on, in a different location, but soon this chamber too will be gone. The last pages of this tower's history will have been turned, its cutting-edge discoveries now fading into the paper of this book, being consumed by mould, and ultimately this anechoic chamber will fall silent forever.